Savings are heating up at West County Nissan. Rogues have been discounted by $5,500. 0% financing available or pay just $182 per month. Go to westcountynissan.com and drive your new Rogue home today.
Cardinals coverage on 101sports.com is brought to you by West County Nissan.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Redbird Report. I'm Anthony Stalter. Alongside with me is Chris Duncan. Now, Chris, the Cardinals went into the All-Star break. We're thinking that if they can just manage against the Reds and the Brewers, they got a kind of a fluff series coming up against the Cubs. But the Cubs have been playing very well, at least compared to early on in the season. What kind of challenges do the Cardinals face this weekend when they take on Chicago?
Well, I think you're exactly right, Anthony. The Cubs are playing significantly better than they did at the beginning of the season. And I think the number one biggest reason is the big-time first base prospect, Anthony Rizzo. Sure. They call him up from AAA. The Cubs fans have been waiting for this guy, and boy, has he made an impact. He's hitting .359. He's got 4 jacks, and he's really held down the middle of that lineup. Now you add Anthony Rizzo, you got Sterling Castro at shortstop. Now you're looking at 2 legitimate hitters in the middle of that order, and Ryan Dempster has really stepped up. His ERA is under 2. He's leading all of baseball in ERA for starting pitchers, and Matt Garza has been fantastic. And the Cardinals have a challenge ahead of them because they're getting both Dempster and Garza in this upcoming weekend series. And followed by those two, they've got Travis Wood, who they acquired in the trade where they moved Sean Marshall to Cincinnati. So this isn't going to be easy for the Cardinals. The Cubs team is playing a lot better right now, and they're running into the Cubs when they've got their 3 best pitchers throwing.
Right, and subsequently, the Cardinals are not scoring with runners in scoring position. Obviously, Chris, you played the game. Take us through the mind of a hitter when you have a guy on second or third with less than 2 outs. Obviously, it's not easy, but kind of explain that process and maybe what's going on with the Cardinals and why they're struggling so much in this area.
Well, I think the fans, when they're watching on TV, it looks a lot easier than it really is as a player. And I think when you get into those situations, subconsciously, you know the team has been struggling to score runs. You know that you're coming off a series against the Reds where you really didn't play well. And all of a sudden, it becomes a mental thing where every hitter that goes up there in one of those situations maybe starts to press a little bit. And what you got to do is stay relaxed, slow your heart rate down, and get something up in the zone and have a good, solid approach that you have with 100% conviction. Now, it's easier said than done, and this is one of the toughest things to do in baseball. That's why they pay guys $100 million that can drive in 100 runs, because not everyone can do that. But the Cardinals hitters got to relax, and what helps is when you got a guy like Matt Holliday, someone in the middle of the order, Carlos Beltran, when those 2 main cogs in your lineup are hitting, it takes pressure off the rest of the guys and it allows them to relax, and they'll start driving some runs in.
It looks so easy from our couches.
It does.
You
got a
guy on third base, you're saying, hey, get it to the right side or get it into the outfield, but it's not easy.
Sometimes it is easy. Some guys can put the ball in play and they make it look easy. Bada bing, bada boom, they score the run. But other times, especially when you're facing closers and setup guys like they have been lately, it could be difficult.
Let's get into a little bit of the MLB trade rumors involving the Cardinals. The Mariners actually keep getting brought up in possible trade discussions. 2 names I'm going to throw at you. Give me your feedback. Jason Vargas, starting pitcher, and then Brandon League, who's the reliever, used to be the closer, is now kind of in a setup role. Do either of those names kind of entice you, intrigue you, and what would you potentially give up if you're John Mozeliak?
I think Vargas alone really didn't get me excited. The guy's 9-7. He's got a 4.09 ERA. He's not great, but he's not bad. He's a decent pitcher. He has given up 25 home runs, which is extremely high when you factor in the ballpark he's pitching in. But if they could add a guy like Brandon League, now all of a sudden I'm interested. That's a trade that I might consider because Brandon League's a guy that had 37 saves last year. His ERA was in the 2s. He was a very competitive closer for the Seattle Mariners. He's not closing anymore, but that's the type of guy that you could get, bring him over to St. Louis, get a new scenery for him, and you could pitch him in the 7th inning, and he could have an impact on a nightly basis coming out of the bullpen. And me and Derek Gould were actually talking about this yesterday, and he texted me, he said, what do you think about Brandon League? I said, I think I like him. I think that would be the type of move that I would be interested in. And Seattle needs a lot. They need a lot of offensive help First base, Justin Smoak's only hitting .201. He does have 13 home runs, but they would look for an upgrade at first base. Maybe they'd be interested in a guy like Matt Adams. Brendan Ryan, who the Cardinals traded over to Seattle a couple years back, is only hitting .188. They do have a shortstop prospect in Ryan Jackson, and also they need help at third base. Zach Cox really isn't playing well in AAA, but he's playing a lot better now than he was early in the season. Maybe Seattle will take a look at some of those position players and be willing to work a deal. And the Cardinals have probably some of the most depth they've had pitching-wise in the minor league system right now. So they have some pieces where they can make something work.
It's going to be interesting next week. We'll dive back into trade reports and things like that. But for this week, this has been your Redbird Report. For Chris Duncan, I'm Anthony Stalter. Till next time.